The distress beacon had been silent for 10,000 years. When it suddenly awakened, every salvage hunter in the sector heard it, but Marcus Chen was the closest. His small ship, the Rust Bucket, wasn't impressive. It was old, patched with mismatched parts and barely spaceworthy. But it was his, and it kept him alive in the dangerous work of salvaging dead ships. Marcus had been doing this for 5 years, ever since he left Earth with nothing but debts and bad memories. The beacon led him deep into the void expanse. This was where ships came to die, a graveyard of metal and dreams floating in the darkness between stars. Most salvagers avoided this place. Strange things happened here. Ships disappeared. Crews went mad. But Marcus needed the money badly enough to take the risk. When he finally found the source of the beacon, Marcus stopped breathing for a moment. The ship was massive. It dwarfed everything he had ever seen, even the great carrier ships of the Krell Empire. Its hull was dark metal that seemed to absorb light, covered in patterns that hurt his eyes when he looked at them too long. The design was elegant and alien, nothing like the blocky human ships or the organic curves of Xinthian vessels. "What are you?" Marcus whispered. His computer couldn't identify it. The database had no match, but Marcus had heard stories, tales told in bars across the galaxy about a civilization that came before all others. The architects. They had vanished 10,000 years ago, leaving behind only legends and empty space. If this was an architect's ship, Marcus was looking at the most valuable thing in the known galaxy. His hands shook as he prepared to dock. Every government, every corporation, every pirate lord would kill for this. He should call it in, report it to the authorities. But Marcus knew what would happen then. They would take the ship and he would get a small finder's fee. Maybe. If they didn't just kill him to keep it secret. No, he had found it. He would explore it first. The docking was smooth, surprisingly so for a ship that had been dead for millennia. Marcus put on his environment suit and grabbed his tools. His pistol felt heavy on his hip. He didn't know what he would find inside, but he wanted to be ready. The airlock opened with a hiss. Marcus stepped into darkness. His helmet light cut through the black, revealing a corridor that stretched beyond sight. The walls were the same dark metal as the exterior, covered in those strange patterns. As Marcus walked, his boots made no sound. The metal absorbed everything, even sound. "This is crazy," he muttered to himself. "I should leave. I should definitely leave." The corridor opened into a vast chamber. Marcus's light couldn't reach the far walls. In the center of the chamber stood a pillar of crystalline material that pulsed with faint blue light. It was the only light source in the entire ship. As Marcus approached the pillar, something changed. The patterns on the walls began to glow. Soft blue light spread through the chamber like water, revealing the true size of the space. It was enormous, big enough to hold a small city. Then a voice spoke. It came from everywhere and nowhere, resonating inside Marcus's skull. "Species, unknown, scanning. Species designation, human. I have been waiting." He screamed and fell to his knees. Images flooded his mind, overwhelming his senses. He saw star systems being born and dying. He saw species rising and falling. He saw war on a scale that made human conflicts look like children fighting. He saw the architects, beings of pure thought and energy, creating wonders and horrors in equal measure. He saw them being hunted, destroyed by something older and darker. He saw their desperate plan, their hope that someone would find their legacy. And then the pain stopped. Marcus gasped for air, lying on the cold metal floor. His nose was bleeding. His muscles ached, but something had changed. He could feel the ship now, feel it like it was part of his own body. He knew where every corridor led, every system, every weapon. "What? What did you do to me?" Marcus managed to say. "I bonded with you," Keeper replied. The hologram's voice sounded almost pleased. "You survived. You are the first in 10,000 years to survive the bonding process." "What makes me special?" But you are flexible, you adapt, you create. Together, we will repair it. And then we will show the galaxy what the architects intended. We will create wonders they cannot imagine. He thought about the choice before him. He could leave, seal the ship and walk away, live his small life, or he could stay, bond with something ancient and powerful, become something more. Okay, Marcus said, let's do it. Let's rebuild. 3 days of learning, adapting, and trying not to go insane from the constant flow of information in his head. The ship was massive, bigger than any human city Marcus had seen. Most of it was damaged or offline. Systems that had run for thousands of years before the architects disappeared had finally broken down. Keeper showed Marcus the repairs needed, and the list was overwhelming. We need power cells, quantum processors, and something called phase matter, Marcus said, staring at the holographic display. I don't even know what phase matter is. We can synthesize it, but we need raw materials first. People mean questions. Questions mean trouble. Marcus paced the command chamber. We need to be careful. If anyone finds out what this ship is, every government and pirate in the galaxy will come after us. The architects valued caution as much as courage. The AI had been alone for 10,000 years, and it seemed almost grateful to finally have someone to talk to. Let's move to the asteroid field, Marcus decided. We'll mine what we need and avoid the station if possible. Its engines made no sound, left no trace. Keeper explained that architect technology worked differently than modern ships. Instead of burning fuel, they manipulated space itself, sliding through reality like a knife through water. The asteroid field was dense with rocks and debris. Marcus guided the ship deeper, searching for the minerals Keeper needed. His connection to the ship made it easy. He thought about where he wanted to go, and the ship responded. It was like walking, natural and effortless. They had been mining for 2 hours when the Krell patrol found them. 4 Krell warships dropped out of hyperspace, surrounding the Valdris. Marcus's heart raced as Keeper displayed their positions on the holographic screen. Unidentified vessel, this is Krell Battle Group 7. A harsh voice crackled over the communication system. You are in restricted space. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. The Krell were the galaxy's warriors, a species bred for combat. Their ships were heavily armed and their crews trained from birth to fight. Going up against 4 of them in a damaged ancient ship seemed like suicide. Keeper, what are our weapons? I have emergency defense protocols only. We cannot win a direct fight. Power conduits, damaged systems, mining drones still attached to the hull, asteroid trajectories. Ideas began forming, connections his human brain made that no computer would think of. Keeper, can you overload the mining drones? They are not weapons, but it will also disable their targeting computers for a few seconds. That's all we need. But Marcus wasn't an architect, he was human. Trust me, Marcus said. I do, Keeper replied, and Marcus felt the AI's acceptance. The Krell ships moved closer, weapons charging. Marcus waited until they were in perfect position. Then he acted. The mining drones detached from the Valdris hull and shot toward the Krell ships. The Krell fired, destroying most of them, but 3 got through. They detonated against the warship's shields, not causing much damage but creating debris fields. At the same moment, Keeper released the electromagnetic pulse. The wave of energy spread out, invisible but powerful. The Krell ship's systems flickered and died for precious seconds. In that moment of blindness, Marcus moved. He didn't use the engines. Instead, he had Keeper manipulate the ship's position in space, essentially teleporting short distances. The Valdris appeared behind the largest Krell warship, using it as a shield against the others. What is this? The Krell commander shouted over the communication system. What are you doing? The Krell tried to track him, but Marcus kept moving, appearing and disappearing, attacking from unexpected angles. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't by any tactical manual, but it worked. One Krell ship took too much damage and retreated. Another got caught in a debris field Marcus created and had to fall back for repairs. The remaining two circled cautiously, trying to predict Marcus's next move. They couldn't, because Marcus didn't fight like anything they had ever encountered. He used broken systems as weapons. He turned mining equipment into artillery. He made the battlefield itself his ally. "Retreat," the Krell commander finally ordered. "This ship is too dangerous. We need reinforcements." He collapsed into the command chair, exhausted and shaking. "We won," he whispered in disbelief. "You won," Keeper corrected. "I would never have thought of those tactics. They were illogical, unpredictable, and completely effective." Welcome to humanity. We don't follow the rules because we barely understand them. Keeper displayed something concerning on the holographic screen. "The Krell transmitted our position before they fled," the AI said. "They also sent recordings of the battle. By tomorrow, everyone in this sector will know about us. By next week, the entire galaxy will know a human has activated an architect ship." "We're famous," Marcus said quietly. "Yes, and now everyone will want us. Governments will try to capture us. Corporations will try to buy us. Pirates will try to kill us and take the ship." Keeper paused. "We cannot do this alone. We need allies." Allies, people he could trust, in a galaxy where he had just made himself the most wanted person alive. "Then we find outcasts," Marcus decided. "People who have nothing to lose. People who think differently like me. We build a crew of misfits and rebels. If the galaxy wants to hunt us, we'll make sure we're ready." He was now a player in galactic politics, whether he wanted to be or not. 2 weeks after the Krell encounter, Marcus had assembled the strangest crew in the galaxy. First came Lyra, a Nexari engineer who had been exiled from her home world for questioning their rigid technology laws. The Nexari were masters of mathematics and logic, but Lyra had committed the worst crime in their society. She had experimented with emotions, trying to understand creativity. Her people considered her broken, damaged, and dangerous. Marcus found her working in a junk yard, fixing broken machines for scraps. "I heard about you," she said when Marcus approached. Her silver skin reflected the light, and her 4 arms moved constantly, never still. "The human with the architect ship. Everyone is looking for you. Keeper says you're one of the best engineers alive." She left with wonder in her eyes and an agreement to join the crew. Next came Torque, a Krell warrior who had deserted his army after refusing an order to destroy a civilian colony. The Krell Empire wanted him dead for his betrayal. Marcus found him hiding on a frontier station, selling his combat skills to merchants who needed protection. "Why should I trust a human?" Torque growled. He was massive, covered in red scales and scars from countless battles. "Because we're both running from the same people," Marcus said simply. "And because I need someone who knows how the Krell military thinks." "Stupid courage, but courage. I will join you." She claimed the architects were not gods or demons, but explorers who had discovered something that changed them forever. When Marcus contacted her, she arrived within 2 days. "Show me everything," she demanded the moment she stepped aboard. Every inscription, every data file, every piece of technology. They found a nebula on the edge of explored space, where the gas clouds would hide their energy signatures. Here, they could work without fear of immediate discovery. "Keeper, show them what you showed me," Marcus said. The command chamber transformed. Holographic images filled the air, showing the ship's true purpose. The Valdris was not just a warship. It was a foundry, a workshop capable of creating technology that combined architect knowledge with new ideas. "Impossible," Lyra whispered, her 4 hands reaching toward the holograms. "This violates every principle of physics I know." They understood that reality is flexible, that matter and energy can be shaped by will and imagination. someone creative and unpredictable. Marcus would imagine something, visualize it in his mind, and Keeper would translate that imagination into reality using the ship's foundry. The results were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They created weapons that learned from each battle, adapting their firing patterns to counter enemy tactics. They made shields that didn't just block energy but absorbed it and redirected it back at attackers. They designed engines that could phase through solid matter for short distances. Each creation was unique because it came from Marcus's human mind. He thought in ways that broke conventional rules. When Lyra said something was impossible, Marcus found a way to make it work. When Torque described a Krell battle formation, Marcus designed a weapon specifically to counter it. "You are doing what the architects once did," Dr. Okoye told Marcus one evening. They stood in the observation deck, watching the nebula's colors swirl around them. "You are reshaping reality through technology and imagination." I found references to them in Keeper's database. They're called the Silence. Before he could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace," Keeper announced. "Galactic Concordat fleet, 20 warships, they are hailing us." Her expression was cold, calculating. "Marcus Chen, by authority of the Galactic Concordat, you are ordered to surrender the Architect vessel immediately. You have 1 hour to comply. If you refuse, we will take the ship by force." 20 ships, Torque said grimly. "Even with our new weapons, those are bad odds." Outcasts and rebels who had found purpose together. "No," Marcus said. "No more running. It's time to show them what we've built. Keeper, activate all defensive systems. Lyra, get the new shield generators online. Torque, I need you on weapons. Doctor Okoye, monitor their communication channels." Marcus used the time to position the Valdris perfectly within the nebula. He deployed the self-replicating repair drones they had created, tiny machines that could fix damage in real time. He activated weapons that the Concordat had never seen before. When the hour ended, the Concordat fleet attacked. They came in standard formation, exactly as Marcus predicted. Their tactics were efficient, logical, and completely predictable. They expected a desperate fight from an old ship with a small crew. They got something very different. Marcus fought like no one had ever fought before. He used the nebula's gas clouds as cover, appearing and disappearing unpredictably. His weapons adapted to each ship's defenses, finding weaknesses and exploiting them. When a Concordat cruiser locked onto his position, Marcus phased through an asteroid and attacked from behind. The repair drones swarmed any damage, fixing it before it could become critical. The learning shields absorbed the enemy's energy weapons and used that power to make themselves stronger. "This is impossible," the Concordat admiral screamed over the communication channel. "What is this ship?" The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, 7 Concordat warships were destroyed. 8 more were too damaged to fight. The remaining 5 retreated, jumping to hyperspace in panic. Marcus had won. 1 ship against a fleet, and he had won. The command chamber was silent as the crew stared at the aftermath. Debris floated through space, the remains of some of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. "We just declared war on the Concordat," Dr. Okoye said quietly. "No," Marcus corrected, exhaustion clear in his voice. "We just showed them they can't bully us. There's a difference." They had seen him humiliate the most powerful military force in known space. Some would fear him, some would want to join him, and some would want to destroy him completely. "Keeper," Marcus said, "any sign of pursuit?" Long-range sensors show anomalies at the edge of the system. They match the descriptions in architect records. The real threat was coming now. The hunters who had destroyed the architects were finally here. The Silence arrived without warning. 3 ships emerged from the darkness between stars. They were not like any vessels Marcus had seen before. They were black, so black they seemed to absorb reality itself. Looking at them made his eyes hurt as if his brain couldn't quite process what he was seeing. "Keeper, what are those?" Marcus asked, his voice tight with fear. "Void ships," Keeper replied, and for the first time Marcus heard genuine fear in the AI's voice. "They were the weapon used to hunt the architects. They do not destroy matter. They erase it. They remove things from existence as if they never were. No debris, no energy signature, nothing. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. We need to leave," Lyra said, her 4 hands moving frantically over the control panels. "Now." Marcus felt the ship's fear through their bond. These vessels had destroyed Keeper's creators, had hunted the architects across the galaxy until they were extinct. A communication signal came through. The voice was old, so old it seemed to echo from the beginning of time itself. "Architect vessel, you have awakened. This cannot be permitted. Surrender the ship and the human who bonded with it. We will make the erasure quick. They are generating a disruption field. We are trapped." "Akoi," Marcus called out, "you studied the architects. How did they fight these things?" "It operates on principles we don't understand." Marcus saw ancient wars, saw the architects trying desperately to fight back. He saw their weapons fail, their shields collapse, their greatest warriors erased from reality. The architects had been powerful, but the silence had something they didn't understand. And then Marcus saw it, a pattern, a clue. "They can erase matter," Marcus said slowly, "but can they erase ideas? That's how we phase through things, how we manipulate space." Marcus opened his eyes, an idea forming. What if we could exist outside of reality completely, even for a moment? But it would require massive amounts of energy, and we would need somewhere to go, another dimension to hide in. Their records mention places between realities, spaces that exist in the gaps of existence. "Keeper, can you shift us into one of these between spaces?" Everyone agreed. Colors that didn't exist flashed before his eyes. Sounds that had no source filled his ears. And then, suddenly, everything was gray. They floated in a space between spaces, a dimension where light existed but had nothing to illuminate. The void ships were gone, unable to follow them here. "It worked," Lyra breathed. "We actually escaped." The void ships were doing something to their dimension, to the normal universe they had left behind. They were erasing things at random. A moon here, a space station there, an entire asteroid field. "They are sending a message," Keeper translated the silence's broadcast. "Every hour we remain hidden, they will erase something. A planet, a station, a colony. They will continue until we surrender or until we watch the galaxy die." "We can't let them do this," Dr. Akoi said, tears in her eyes. "All those people." The silence could erase matter, but they couldn't erase ideas. That was the key. But how could an idea fight a weapon? Then it hit him. "We don't need to destroy them," Marcus said slowly. "We need to make the galaxy strong enough to resist them. If everyone has architect technology, if everyone can fight back, the silence can't threaten us anymore. The Concordat bans the sharing of advanced technology." They were destroyed because they kept their secrets. Perhaps that was their mistake. Shields, weapons, engines. It won't make everyone equal to us, but it will give them a chance. Technology that species would take centuries to develop, available to everyone instantly. There will be chaos. Akoi worked for an hour compiling the data. When she was done, she looked at Marcus one last time. "Once I send this, we can never take it back. The galaxy will never be the same." Every computer, every communication device, every networked system suddenly received the same data package. Instructions for building architect technology, simplified and translated into thousands of languages. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Some governments tried to suppress the information, but it was too late. The data was everywhere, spreading like wildfire. Engineers, scientists, and curious minds across the galaxy started building. Within hours, the first prototype shields were activated. Within days, the first weapons came online. The galaxy, which had been helpless before the silence, now had the tools to resist. The silence responded with fury. They stopped erasing random targets and instead focused on destroying any ship or station that activated architect technology. But there were too many. For every target they erased, 10 more appeared. They are losing control, Keeper observed. They cannot erase everyone. Krell warships with new shields, Nexari science vessels with adapted weapons, even Concordat fleet ships, their commanders realizing the silence was a threat to everyone. The galaxy had united for the first time in recorded history. "This is impossible," the silence's ancient voice crackled over the communication channels. "You cannot resist us. We are eternal. We are inevitable." That's how the universe works. The combined fleet adapted, learned, using the new architect technology in creative ways. Marcus led the charge. The Valdris danced through space, attacking the void ships from angles that shouldn't exist. Other ships followed his lead, learning from his unpredictable tactics. One void ship fell, its strange systems overloaded. Then another. The third void ship tried to escape, but Torque had predicted its route. A dozen ships blocked its path, firing in perfect coordination. When the battle ended, the silence was gone. Marcus collapsed in his chair, exhausted beyond words. Around him, his crew was celebrating, laughing and crying with relief. "We won," Lyra said in disbelief. "We actually won." This was just the beginning. 5 years had passed since the defeat of the silence. Marcus Chen stood on the observation deck of the Valdris, watching as ships from 100 different species arrived at the station they had built. This was no ordinary station. It was called the Architect's Covenant, a place where beings from across the galaxy came to learn, share, and create together. The galaxy had changed dramatically since that day Marcus broadcast architect technology to everyone. At first, there had been chaos. Wars erupted as different factions tried to gain advantage with the new weapons. Pirates used the technology to attack helpless colonies. Governments scrambled to control the spread of information. But slowly, something unexpected happened. People began to cooperate. A Krell engineer would solve a problem a Nexari scientist couldn't. A human inventor would imagine something a Xinthian collective could perfect. Species that had been enemies for centuries started working together because they realized that creation was more powerful than destruction. Marcus had played a crucial role in this change, but not in the way he expected. After the battle with the silence, the Concordat had sent ambassadors to negotiate with him. They offered him wealth, power, a seat on the ruling council. They wanted to use him and the Valdris as a symbol of galactic unity. Marcus had refused. "I'm not a politician," he had told them. "I'm a builder. If you want unity, don't make me a symbol. Make knowledge free. Let everyone build, create, and imagine." The Architect's Covenant was born, a neutral station where any being could come to learn about architect technology. No governments, no corporations, no military control, just people working together. "Marcus," a familiar voice called out. "Doctor." Akoi walked up beside him, her hair now streaked with gray. "The new students have arrived. 20 different species in this group. The youngest is 7 years old. A girl from Earth who wants to design ships that can travel between dimensions." The corridors were filled with workshops where beings worked on projects that would have been impossible a decade ago. A Krell and a Nexari were collaborating on a new type of engine. A group of humans were teaching Xinthians about improvisation and creativity. Everywhere Marcus looked, he saw cooperation and innovation. "Do you ever regret it?" Dr. Akoi asked quietly. "Giving away all the secrets. We could have kept the technology for ourselves, become the most powerful force in the galaxy." The architects tried that. They kept their knowledge secret and it made them targets. The silence destroyed them because they were afraid of what the architects might become. He paused at a window overlooking the construction bay. Power that's hoarded breeds fear and hatred. Power that's shared creates community. Torque was demonstrating combat tactics to security officers from a dozen species, teaching them how to think creatively in battle instead of following rigid formations. "Marcus," Torque called out, his scarred face splitting in a grin. "Come tell these younglings about the time we defeated the Concordat fleet." Young people from every species dreamed of joining them, of being part of something greater than themselves. But Marcus had learned an important lesson. He didn't need to be at the center of everything. His job was to inspire others to build their own legacies. "Keeper," Marcus said through their mental bond, "show me the latest projects." A team on the Nexari homeworld had created a medical device using architect technology that could heal injuries thought to be permanent. Humans on Earth were building ships that could explore previously unreachable star systems. Even the Krell, traditionally focused only on warfare, had engineers working on terraforming technology to create new habitable worlds. "The galaxy creates more in one day now than it did in entire years before," Keeper observed. "You have changed everything, Marcus Chen." There were still conflicts, still wars fought with architect-enhanced weapons. Some groups rejected the new technology, fearing it would destroy their traditional ways of life. Others used it for selfish purposes, creating weapons and tools meant only to harm. Marcus couldn't fix everything. He had learned to accept that. One evening, as Marcus sat alone in the observation deck, a young human woman approached. She was the 7-year-old he had heard about, though she looked small and nervous. "Excuse me," she said quietly, "are you Marcus Chen?" "I was nobody special, just a man with debts and broken dreams." How did a failed salvager become the person who changed galactic history? It wasn't because he was special or chosen by destiny. "I found something bigger than myself," Marcus said finally, "and instead of trying to keep it or control it, I shared it. The architect ship chose me not because I was the best or the smartest, but because I was willing to think differently, to break rules, to imagine impossible things." Most people will tell you that's impossible. They'll give you 100 reasons why it can't work, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you try anyway. You fail, you learn, and you keep creating. "I promise." "Keeper," Marcus said, "what do you think the architects would say if they could see what we've built?" "You have given that to the galaxy." He watched as the students he had taught became teachers themselves. He saw species that had been enemies become partners in grand projects. He witnessed the galaxy transform from a place of isolated civilizations into a connected community of creators. One day, as Marcus sat in the command chamber, now more museum than active control center, Dr. Okoye brought him news. "The Nexari have made contact with a species beyond our galaxy," she said excitedly. "Using the dimensional technology we developed, they reached out across impossible distances. There are other galaxies out there, Marcus, filled with civilizations we never knew existed. The universe is bigger than we can imagine, and now we have the tools to explore it. My time is for teaching, for helping others prepare for adventures I'll never see." Around it, hundreds of ships came and went, each carrying people who wanted to learn, to build, to create. "Keeper," Marcus said softly, "do you regret choosing me? A human who gave away all your secrets instead of using them for power. That the greatest power is not in what you can destroy, but in what you inspire others to build." He thought about the friends he had made, the battles he had won, and the legacy he was leaving behind. He had been nobody special, just a human with imagination and stubbornness who refused to follow the rules. And that, Marcus realized, was exactly what the galaxy had needed. As stars shone through the viewport and ships danced through space like fireflies, Marcus Chen closed his eyes and felt grateful for the day he answered a 10,000-year-old distress beacon. It had been one hell of an adventure,